Let's see. So this is Discover Las Vegas. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yes, I am Priscilla Scott, your host. Philip isn't here, but normally Philip is sitting right next to
What's
me.
up,
What a
Philip?
sad
What's up, Philip?
day. uh, introduce yourself. Let us
Okay.
know who you are, who
Um,
you're with.
yeah. My name is Leland Sparks. I'm with Vegas Force Foundation. Um, I've been out here now. I would say about 22 years.
I thought you were from here. Where are you
No,
originally
I'm
from?
originally from Texas by way of Cali. So I moved
Okay.
to. I was born and raised Texas, right outside of Houston, small town, and then from there, my uncle decided he wanted us to play football, and flew us out to California. We've been out. I've been out on the West Coast ever since, and I was 13. So from there, got a scholarship to Washington State. Played football for 2 years there. Tore my knee. Went to a smaller NIAA division school. Did well. Had a couple tryouts. Didn't make a team. I moved out to Vegas. Didn't know what else to do. Started writing youth programs. And Jim Rhodes, Rhodes found the Rhodes community.
Hmm.
Yeah, he saw my resume and asked me to come out. Flew me out, and the rest was history. Yep. So I built my first program in Las Vegas was with Rhodes Ranch, helping their community. They had it's called the Fun Zone, and I wrote all the programs for that.
Oh, I had no idea that because everybody that like I've talked to, obviously from like being in this area, like the Ward 5
Oh
area,
yeah,
everybody knows Coach Sparks.
that's funny because I work with all their kids. Like I said, I'm Uncle Daddy around here. I got like 5,000 kids every year. I got 5,000 new kids that I work with.
I think today is probably the first day that I've seen you without a kid.
Yeah, and I got to go pick some up right after this podcast.
So we're going to get to that,
Yep.
but tell us about like life in Texas.
Okay.
Take us through your childhood and like the role that youth sports played for you.
Yeah, I'm the oldest of five sisters, so I had to be outside. I'm from a community where we had about 25 kids, all roughly the same age. So we always played football. Had our own track meets, softball, baseball. But
Street kids.
yeah, until the street lights came on. Me and my cousin Derek, who I'll touch on him. As we get deeper into the story of what sports has done for us. But he and I learned competition at an early age, and we developed that. And we had uncles who were like legends, so to speak, football, baseball players, and we just took it upon ourselves. We was the next generation. You know what I'm saying? I was second off the porch. I'm the second oldest. Um, I'm sorry, I'm the oldest grandson, and my cousin Derek is the second oldest grandson. So it was him and I. Everybody thought we was brothers. We lived in the same neighborhood, Section 8. And we grew up right around the time the crack epidemic hit, and we had to make a decision what we were going to do. Sure enough, we had strong Southern moms who had long Southern belts back then, so we knew we couldn't, the streets wasn't for us. And then my uncle called, and yeah, my mom had to make a decision. She said, I can't raise you to be a man, and send me to California.
That's tough.
Yep. So the foster kids I work with, I'm one of them. What I'm saying? It just happened to be internal. I'm with my family still, but when people talk about multiple personalities, they don't get it. We all have it. We just use it in different ways to benefit us. When our kids, they can't really make those adjustments in a timely manner. But as adults now, we all have multiple personalities. I learned that a long time ago.
You just said something that I never in my life considered until this very moment. Um, it's making me a little emotional.
Oh, that's all right.
I've never cried on our podcast. I never considered myself a foster kid, but I originally was born in Costa Rica, and then my mom moved here first. And it was really hard for us to immigrate, for anyone who knows like the immigration road, like for her to petition for us. So we all lived with my aunts, with my grandparents for a few years actually.
Right.
And I don't have like any youth memories prior to moving here. And my brothers and sisters will say, "Do you remember this?" Or And I'm like, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And when you're like, oh, like the foster kids, and I'm like, I would have never considered myself a foster child because, like you just said, it was all internal. I was always with family. but I didn't actually live with my parents until first grade.
Yeah. But by definition of a foster kid,
And I never,
yeah.
ever would have considered that.
Yep.
And so when you talk about like the alternate personalities and stuff, like I do have a soft spot when I see the grandparents that bring it. Like my family, I don't know if we have a level of dysfunction or if we're
But
just
every
super
family
close
does. But yeah, yep,
because like we're a very close family. I
yep.
have a very large family and everybody's always when we're together now. So the house that we grew up in is smaller than the studio that we're in right now.
Hmm.
And there were 9 of us there. And so when we are all together, obviously that's not the life we live now.
Right.
We will like cram ourselves into the kitchen or cram ourselves into a dining area, or people are like sitting on top of each
Yep,
other.
yep.
Like there's no secrets. And I'm like, oh, that's probably from
Yeah, yeah.
all those memories that I
Yep.
don't have from back then. So,
But yeah. So when I figured that part out, I just became a different person. You know what I'm saying? So, and I can give my stress to them, and they can take my stress. So I don't have to deal with so much of being an adult when I know I had lived that life. So let me help change it for you just a little bit. And I can't fix everything in every kid I work with, but enough, just
mhm.
enough. Give them something positive for that one moment, and that's what I thrive on. So, and I don't have any kids. You know what I'm saying? I lost my kid. My child I was getting ready to have like 15 years ago. We had Angela had a miscarriage, and
Mm.
from then I was like, I'm good. I don't want any kids. I'll just start working with kids, and it was the best decision I made because I've turned around and helped so many kids.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And I'm well known in this field. You know what I'm saying, for the amount of work that I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what was that transition from like Texas to California? Like, what was the biggest shock? Because you're talking about moving from Texas to California. California had a lot more
Yeah.
drug
Well,
challenges. That was like that
it was terrifying.
straight out of Compton
It
era.
was it was
Rodney
terrifying. Yep.
King.
So we lived through all that time period, but experienced that time period, I should say. But that first week living in California, we didn't want to go outside. And then when we met a couple guys on different blocks, we still had like a strong country accent that we started trying to hide and sound like we was from the West Coast. It made it even worse. But my uncle put us in a baseball program right up the street at this park, and it was in the '90s. So the neighborhood, the rolling '90s, right? '89, and we was on 91st and Western and Van Ness. We was right in the middle. So on this side was the Crips, on this side was the Bloods, right? But this park was designated for Crips. But it was a lot of athletes over there. We would drive by and you'd see kids just, doing having fun with everything. So my uncle decided during the summers prior to moving out there, he would put us in this league. Terrified. We didn't know what to expect. The first couple games, we didn't hear nothing but gunshots. You know what I'm saying? And we had to make that adjustment coming from Texas, because in Texas at the time they were shooting in the air. They wasn't shooting directly at you. When we got the whole treatment. They told us we couldn't go out here. We couldn't wear the same hats. Your clothing had to change. Like we really had that conversation because we was just country. You know what I'm saying? We
Mhm.
was just rough around the edges. And there was no fear in us because our uncles were, the
Yeah.
dudes. Where I'm from, and so we ended up moving out to Wilmington to start off our football career campaign, so to speak. And my cousin Derek ended up staying, and my mom and my dad was getting a divorce, so I had to fly back home. So I was at Banning High School to start off with. When I left, Derek became a parade All-American. So that's the top running back one of the top running backs in the country. So they flew me back out to play quarterback. But the gang violence in Wilmington, we were staying in the Cabbage Patch, which is all Bloods. But when on football teams in California, you have a mixture of different,
Mhm.
neighborhoods. But yeah, so my uncle got upset with that, and then we found out there was some money involved. So because Derek was a parade All-American, the school needed a running back and a quarterback. So they moved us on campus. So this is the first time we started experiencing what sports can offer you.
Mhm.
Before you know it, we had a car on the lot. All of my grades got changed. I never went to class. You know what I'm saying? The best worst thing that could have happened to me because it made me grow up and all this stuff started, hitting the fan. But we took the team all the way to almost to the state championship in football, and then we won state in baseball. So our names were solidified. We was on the cover of LA Times every single Friday. a Saturday morning when you wake up,
Mhm.
after the games, and things started happening. People started getting greedy. They saw me as a cash cow. They saw Derek as a cash cow. Um, I knew the Jackson family. I would start meeting these type of people because I could run fast and catch a football, and um, Eddie Cibrian, Stephen Dorff, like these are all friends of mine, like from football at this one school called Montclair Prep in the Valley. Well, turns out they wanted me to play another year. That's when the greed started coming in, and they didn't clear it with CIF. So when my uncle found out, we were at an invitation in Hawaii, and they told me I couldn't play as a fifth year senior. Had no idea I was a fifth year senior. Yeah. So this is when
Is this still high
this is
school?
high school. This is the dark side of being a student athlete with a name. Nobody talks to you about the stress and depression when the lights go out
Mm.
because you're supposed to be that, get up every play, get up. So when you're broken inside and you can't explain it to nobody, what do? You hold it in internally. So then you start lashing out in different ways. I became angry. You know, I stopped talking to my family and teammates for 3 months. They just wouldn't say nothing. So they all thought I was going crazy or something. Didn't go out with anybody. Came straight home. Went in the room. My uncle be beating on the door. I didn't care. And then from there, they sent over like psychiatrists at the time. I'm still a kid. This doctor or whoever she was, and she talked to me about sports. And her definition of sports was nothing that I ever experienced. Right? I was dealing with fun, having fun with friends on the block, friends who have come together to play for a certain high school. She was talking more along the lines of this is what they're expecting you to be all day, every day. And so I became a machine, and sports was my only thing I had to, like I say machine,
Mhm.
it was a certain structure that sports give you, a certain time management that you have to follow up, under, um, mental development, stuff that none of my uncles were talking to me about this stuff. I had to learn this stuff on the fly. So once I started dealing with depression and stress behind sports, and it hit the fan, Mater Day, this is a big time program in Southern California. They knocked on the door and they wanted to come and say, "Hey, we got a home for you." Sure enough, we get there at a house, cars. When I say cars, it wasn't from the school. None of this stuff from the school was from friends, you know,
Mhm.
of my uncle. And third game into it, I tore my knee.
Oh.
I have never felt anything like that. No, again, nobody talks to a student athlete when the lights go out. So I had a panic attack in the hospital. I thought my world came to an end. I couldn't. If you never had a panic attack, it's when your body freezes up, and I, I just couldn't feel nothing. It was just a hard sensation. And when I came to, I kind of relaxed, and I started calling for the nurse and can go get my uncles and all that. But I knew right then and there I was done. Right? Washington State still offered me a full ride. It was like 5 other schools that still was offering me a full ride, even with a major knee tear. So I kind of felt some type of I must have really been doing something for them to offer me, a full ride. Um, I accepted the scholarship. Within that time frame, um, my uncles were going back and forth. So what happened to me kind of split up the family. Started it was a domino effect because everybody thought we are gonna make money off Leland and Derek.
Mhm.
Get to Washington State, find out my uncle has a $44 million lawsuit. He drew up documents that I didn't understand, but my other uncle told me don't sign that. He wants 10% of your life. This is my uncle who did this to us, right? I didn't sign it. They ended up suing my cousin Derek. Got paid up until he passed away 2 years ago from cancer, right? Within that time frame, when we get to Washington State, I find out they're writing a book about us because I don't sign the 10%. I'm not allowed. They only want certain parts of my story in the book, but the book is about me, right? Called Lessons of the Game. Autobiography of a student athlete, Derek Sparks. That's got pictures and stuff throughout the book, but yeah, that's when I broke. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with sports, I don't want to have anything to do with it. Sure enough, get up there, tear my knee again. So I had two major reconstructive knee surgeries on the same knee. Central Washington, hey, we got a scholarship for you if you get healthy. We will give you a year to work when you come up here. So I got another scholarship. This is just based off my high school, 3 games at Mater Dei, 4 games, 3.5 games. And ESPN calls. They want to do an interview with me and my whole family and Derek, everybody collectively. I said in that interview and said, "Yep, my uncle did all of this to us." So it takes away from what the initial lawsuit was about, right? They sued the school on behalf of something. Leland on ESPN in front of the whole nation. No, this was family. My family did this to me. My uncle asked his sister to buy me from her. This is what sports can do to somebody.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to hear the pros, and now you hear the cons. So here's a full circle of it. When I decided to walk away after I couldn't make a team or see anything further than college, I became a college coach, and I helped a few kids, and they kind of went on and played in the league or whatever for a couple of years. When I left Washington and came down here, I got hired by Bishop Gorman. So look at my you know what I'm saying? Like it's all successful programs that just on the strength of what I did in high school. You know what I'm saying? I didn't do nothing in Washington State. I was kind of everything at Central, but that was a lower level. It wasn't Pac-10 back, Pac-10.
Mm-hmm.
So from there, I just gave everything over to, I'm about to write all these programs. So I wrote about 50 programs. Got them all in the computer. I only use about 3 of them. But I have it for the youth that I work with. So if anybody needs something or, they looking to build something for the kids, I'm always there. And that's kind of my story with me in sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So much.
Yeah.
Like as you're talking, one of the things that stuck out the most is like the pressure and the depression that student athletes face. Because even, I mean, my son is 7 and he's got practices almost every single day. Well, this season we scaled back because he was doing 2 football leagues and a basketball league.
Right.
So the only off day that we had, sometimes depending on which league he was playing in, was Sunday. And so he's doing 2 to 3 hour practices a week.
Yep.
He's got to get homework, and he's only 7. And so this season I was like, you know what? He's going to sit out of football.
It's okay to do that.
And he wanted to play basketball. So I'm like, he's doing successfully with that. But then I think like he's 7. He gets up, he runs, he trains, he's in it.
Right.
And at such a young age, like I never considered that was stressful for him. I'm like, I just need him. You've met Connor.
Yeah.
I'm like, he just needs to run off energy because I can't keep up with you. But now looking at it from the flip side of the stresses and how they start at a young age, like the first program he started in he was 2 in a little kickers program because, my brothers played professional soccer. So they thought he was going to go down that road, but he didn't really have an interest in it. But he started at a really young age. And so hearing you talk about the mental health component that a lot of parents don't consider is
The majority of they don't, because it's the old school way. Get up or get yelled at because you should have made that play.
mm-hmm.
Never asking how do you feel or what can you have done different. You know what I'm saying, to make that play, and constantly talking. Or how was your body feeling? You had to, if that's something no one talked to us like that.
Mm-hmm.
We were outside every day running full speed, doing everything we can. By the time we did get to high school, we were banged up a little bit, but we didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, touching on your son, I get it, but ask him those questions.
No, that's like so eye opening because I just, like it's go, 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 go. And his dad and I are both like we expect that he do well in like the things we put him in because that's just what we expect.
Right.
And so now I'm thinking like, man, all those flag pulls that we got on him for missing, or like when he's
Yep.
acting out on the sidelines, or you don't really realize as a parent the stress that youth sports just in general adds, but the added stress from the expectations and everything else that your parents add, the crowd.
And it's a sport. It's supposed to be fun.
Mm-hmm.
Like at every level until you reach the professional level. college, you still can have fun when they're paying you. Well, kids in college are getting paid now, but it's supposed to be fun all the way through high school at least. So ask those questions. It
Yeah.
may trip you out some of the responses. You never know.
So looking at it though, so I gave you my perspective as a parent and you talked a lot about what advice would you give to a youth athlete that's struggling silently?
Uh, um, it took me a minute to find a mentor. I couldn't go. It couldn't be in a It could not be a family member because there was so much going on between the family members. But I would say understand who you are, your individuality, right? Whatever that is, you have to know what you're capable of. From there, find a friend. Now, using the word friend in sports is kind of weird because all of us would bunch up together and it'd be like 10 guys. You know, 5 is a true friend group, 10 is the like, we going to roll together tonight type thing. But I would say find somebody you can depend on. You know what I'm saying? I would say the next thing I would tell a student, what I tell them all is, hey, there's somebody else training while you're sitting there, right? So manage your time management is way more important than kids understand or realize at the young ages. They want to have fun still and go out and eat a bag of hot Cheetos before the game. Like I can't imagine eating a hot bag of Cheetos before a football game. You know what I'm saying? It's incredible what these kids can do.
Takis,
Yeah, the
hot
Takis, like, are you
Cheetos.
crazy? And drink a can of soda. I've seen a bunch of kids do that, and I'm like, let's really back and understand who you are. You know what I'm saying? Just really focus on being the best person you can be when and having some sense of direction. Don't let mom, dad, coaches dictate your direction or path. You got to have your own path, you
Mhm.
know, because at the end of the day, it's your life. You still got to grow up. They just seeing you have fun, and I mean, seeing you be successful on a football field, basketball court, track and field, those type of things. But you still gonna have to live your life at the end of the day.
How did you get into working with foster kids?
Um, I don't know. I've been working with foster kids since 2015.
Okay.
It was PSR BST initially, and I was working with a young lady who worked at Help Us Southern Nevada. Her name was Myrna, and she branched off to open up her own company. And then I just went to roll with her, and before I knew it, we had families at first. They weren't foster; they were with their family in their family unit, and then
Mhm.
we started taking on fosters. And to be honest, how we merged, it's a weird story. Just all of a sudden, I had 40 foster kids under my umbrella. So
So yes, like it's amazing because literally, constantly, I always see you running kids, or you're like, hey, I have this. Do you guys have a program for this type of child, or can they participate with the mentorship program here at Becker? For those of you who are new to our podcast, is a huge community staple.
nope,
This facility has now been here officially a year,
nice.
and the mentorship program in particular was like the very first thing that we all put our heart and soul into, because we recognize from before the building was built, our electeds and our leadership identified that youth crime in the area was a hot
Right.
topic.
Yep.
And so when we started, we're like, okay, that's what we need to target. And kids love this space, so they're always in here. And so that program, we actually have a national grant that helps fund it. And then that's actually how I met you,
Well,
was you started working with our mentorship program through Vegas Force Foundation and just working life skills into the program for the kids that are here. And that program now has over 140 kids. We usually average, I don't know, on any day, it's random. We've had 60 kids in here,
right.
we've had 10 kids in
Well,
here,
well.
but it's a pretty solid group of kids that we have. We have our regulars and stuff like that. But can you tell us a little bit about what Vegas Force, like the curriculum, and what some of the ideas and
Right.
teachings that it brings our youth?
Let me take a drink real quick.
Hmm.
So the purpose of it really was to target everything that a kid is dealing with: bullying, substance and alcohol abuse, whether it's internal. meaning in home, external, friends, community, wherever. And we started breaking down all these different topics. And we picked out 9 topics to last the whole entire school year, or you can run it for 9 weeks, or you can run it for 9 days. It's written in that manner, right? So when we met with you and you told us some of the issues that you were dealing with, it fit. The kids we started off big, like you said, we started with a large group, and then all of a sudden it kind of reduced itself and then opened up again. And now we have a consistent group of kids that show up who are now learning, some about bullying, learning about snitching, and, the difference between snitching and telling the truth or speaking up, So we break down some basic topics, but we go deep. We dig deep into what those definitions are. We let our kids engage and I hate to say have fun with it because there's a fun component that we have to have. Is if it's too serious, they won't participate, but they have fun and they gain. If like I say, it's a moment. It's I didn't know that about my friend, or what a friendship should be, or how do I identify a friend. So it's been successful on that end. I think it's going to grow. Hopefully, we can continue to work with, especially here, but other, city parks and rec locations and build it out to where it becomes a full program for you guys. But we want definitely, we stand here.
Yeah, this is your
Yeah,
home
this
base.
is home base right here. So
Our kids, honestly, we've been able to track some pretty significant milestones in our program, like not just being able to look at the impact of the kids that are in here day to day and okay, it's great we have this many people in the building and we have all this, but we've built so many successful partnerships. But beyond that, like now we can see the community impact of it, right? So we know like our own DPS, so our Department of Public Safety tracks calls for service, arrests, citations, all that. And we recognize it from when this facility went from park to building over the course of the time, like there was a 95% decrease in crime to this area. And there's additional data that supports that for the whole neighborhood, the crime rate is significantly down as well. Um, and we like it wasn't just building a tech center and putting it here that did that. It's the partnerships that we have.
for sure.
Having you guys come in and work with the kids. We have officers that volunteer their time.
Right.
Our own DPS team is always in here trying to teach the kids positive behaviors and habits. We have our own staff that like guides and mentors the kids. We give them different experiences, but that tying it all in is now the community effect
Right.
in how once we pour into those kids, what effect that has on the larger community and really transforming
Yeah.
an area.
And you can see it. But when I started here to where you at now, I seen the growth. I've seen different kids come through here, whether they want to participate in the classes or not. This is home base again, right? Now they got somewhere they can hang out with their friends that keeps them out of trouble for maybe 2 hours. You know what I'm saying? Those are moments that we capture that nobody else is capturing working with that kid, and we can't take that for granted. Now, what after those 2 hours are up, now it's the parents' turn. You know what I'm saying? That was whoever their parent figure is, but we have to start appreciating what we do with our titles. When I say title, not so much title of you, the director or anything, but the title of being a representative for this building. You know what I'm saying? And what it means to that kid when you have them under your umbrella for 2 hours. Same applies for sports. When we get 2 hours, that coach has to do. He has to teach us plays, prepare us for what the other team is doing, and then line up, learn to play, know what the other team is doing for sure, and then play a game. So that's the whole week. It's structured that way. And the whole week with these kids coming in and out of here is the same thing. It's no different. No different, I should say. You're coaching the kids to believe and have some type of structure or a foundation that they can rely on forever. Like as long as this building here, it's forever for them. If this building is gone, then that forever is gone, right? So take that into consideration with the amount of work that you do for the community. You know what I'm saying? So I got a chance to see it when I started working here. So
Yeah, it's a big deal. The facility and the staff too, because we've had kids that maybe a stranger approaches them and they run here. And they're like, this person in this kind of car. And so now they like that. It does take a village to raise a family.
yeah,
And parents can't be around 24/7, especially once we get into the teenage years.
Well, yeah.
They don't want structured parent time.
Right.
They want to come and
Right.
go and
Yeah.
do it, but that comes with some associated risks that are just
Mm-hmm.
natural. And so now they have a safe space that we can help the parents out, because parents still have to
Yeah,
work,
that's
parents still
important.
have other
Yeah.
responsibilities. They can't, we can't keep our kids in a bubble. So
Yeah. Again, I don't believe things happen for a reason. My mom didn't. Well, maybe she does, but I always told her I didn't believe in things happen for a reason. It's always the moment because kids, we all have choices. If we didn't have choices, then things would happen for a reason. A kid has to make a decision to come here. A kid has to make a decision to follow your rules and regulations, right?
hmm
Same applies with athletes. We have to make a decision. We want to play football, baseball, run track. We have to fall under whatever that structure is at that point. The kids are learning that without you having to do it because that's part of your internal structure. But they're
hmm
seeing all this stuff, right? But that's excuse me, man. I'm talking. My chest is hurting a little bit. But those are the type of things that we have to take into consideration, even when we're writing the programs out. You know what I'm saying? Like we have to mention that this is what this really is that we're doing. We're not just out here for as a 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we have to live, but we're in this for a reason.
hmm
You know what I'm saying? It goes far beyond a salary.
hmm
So everybody has their reason, but yeah. So I always look at I feel like I'm talking deep about it, but that's how I look at it every day. I can't look at it any other way. I'm just built that way, right? So same applies with athletes. They're like no different from you being the coach and me being the coach. Your game is just a facility. My game is the field. It's no difference. We're still working with youth and trying to help them define who they are, build somewhat of a short-term future, working towards long-term future plans.
That's a big deal.
Yeah,
That's a really big deal. So, question I always love to ask:
yeah, yeah.
if you could go back and give 12-year-old Leland advice, what advice would you give 12-year-old Leland?
Tough question. 12-year-olds. Let me see. I was breakdancing at that time. I was kind of ill with it too. Um, I would say focus more on my academics because that hurt me the most. Um, and understand who you are. I know everybody told me who I was back then. If I'd have knew who I was then, I would. Yeah, I would have changed the world by now. You know what I'm saying? In my mind, I feel that way.
Well, you've definitely made a huge impact. So,
Thank you. I'll try.
you have changed the world, because if
Yeah.
you can change one life,
Yeah, right. That's a world. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Now you see. Now you know how I think. If you change one life, that's somebody's world, right?
and I'm telling you, I know dozens of kids and adults that have been coached by you or their kids. And I'm like, man, you're just all over the place doing the best that you
Well, I have
can.
good partners too now.
You
My
do.
partnerships are huge. You know what I'm saying? I don't function without the Arnold Parkers. You know what I'm saying? And the Tory Shepherds and even all the whole coaching community I have a good rapport with.
hmm
Pretty much every principal and every AD and every coach in every school knows me. Like I can just walk in and you know. Of course, it changes sometimes. The staff changes, but I'm comfortable. I don't like I told a kid the other day. I can't get in trouble anymore. I can get fired from something. You can just say I don't want to work with you anymore. And I'm getting fired from that.
hmm
By definition. But I don't put myself in positions where I get in trouble. You know what I'm saying? So I don't have any smut on my name. You know what
hmm
I'm saying? So and I keep it that way. You know what I'm saying? So
What do you think is like one of the next big things that you'd like to work on with the kids that you work with?
um, it's a crazy question because I haven't thought that far out yet. I'm still in Becker. I'm still in Becker mode, but I don't know. I can really say I don't know. I haven't projected anything outside of what's happening tomorrow. What we doing tomorrow with it.
hmm
But now that you brought it up, it's gonna sit in my mind. Like
Well,
what's
the next time we have you back with Discover Las Vegas,
yeah,
you're
for
gonna be like,
sure.
I'm working on this, I'm working on
Yeah,
this,
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
doing this.
I did get a call about a movie deal. My cousin was in the process prior to him passing, but I turned it down the first offer. What I was reading, what they wanted me to do, but I think that's my direction right there. Working on a movie, based on the history of what we experienced and how big of a deal it was in Southern California, two Texas boys to move out there. And then with my youth, include them in it. I wouldn't. It should circle back to all the kids that I work with.
Hmm.
So that would probably be it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate your time with us.
Thank you. I was over here struggling. I got my chest hurt. I'm trying to not to cough, but no, yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And everything you've helped me build with my organization and working with Troy as well. You guys do an outstanding job here.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.